Hi, it's Lel from Made by Marley, and today I'm going to be showing you what I did with the new IOD mould sugar and spice. I took an old broken baking bowl and I applied moulds. I also applied the primitive mould as well, just to kind of fill it out and give it something else, but predominantly it's the new mould. And here I am, and I'm showing you it. It's Mr. and Mrs. and there's the two gingerbread kids. There's the gingerbread dog, and there's sweeties and toffees and all the lovely things that you need when you're making a gingerbread house. So what I've done is I've put my release agent in my moulds, and I'm just giving my clay a quick condition, and I am getting ready to mould out my gingerbread men. So the best sort of practice for moulds is kind of not doing what I'm doing there and shoving it all in parts, but you should put it in one part. I like to get rid of all my excess without digging my fingers into it and keeping it relatively smooth. And once I've got rid of all the excess, I like to take just a transfer stick from a transfer pack, and I just like to smooth them out with that. The smoother this surface, the more surface area you're going to have to glue to whatever your surface is. So for example, my baking bowl, it's going to have a nice smooth surface to be able to glue onto that. I'm just making sure there's no little parts. Tuck your mould upside down, like gravity, pull it out. Don't pull your mould, just let it almost fall out. And here we have the little gingerbread boy. He's incredibly cute. He's wearing a cute set of dungarees. I go on and I cast many more, and this is me applying Mr. Gingerbread Man. And because I'm working on a strange surface, because I've got the lip of the bowl, I'm kind of having to work a little bit harder. I like to have a little bit of a rough brush and some water, just to clean up my all-purpose glue from around the edges, just it makes for a cleaner finish. So that's all I'm doing there. I'm just cleaning up my little pieces and parts. I don't want a whole load of glue. And this is Mrs. Gingerbread, wife. She's getting glued on, or maybe they're just partners, I don't know. And here are the children, just applying the children. Now, there was a few kind of cracks, and you'll see these as goes on, especially on their necks, and I just filled those in near the end, and you wouldn't have known they were there, so it's no biggie. There's the little girl, gingerbread girl, she's going on, and I'm using an all-purpose glue, not a wood glue, an all-purpose glue, because it's all-purpose things I'm gluing. It's ceramic and clay. I'm putting on the little sweeties up the top, and I kind of alternated them from the round ones to the sort of, in Scotland we say toffees, but I don't know if they are toffees. I'm putting on some of the little stars and bits and pieces from the primitive mould, just to kind of give it a little of, it's gingerbread themed, but with a sort of kind of twist of a lot of sort of kind of primitive sort of kind of folk arty look. These are the little candy canes. The candy cane only goes one way, but all I did for the other side was just bend it the opposite way to make sure that I had two candy canes going the other way. Just bend that round, so you can see me doing that, making sure that I've applied plenty of glue and there's no issues with that. Cleaning it up. And so all I'm really kind of doing at this stage is I'm just filling in all the little parts, because I want it quite detailed, the baking bowl. I don't want sort of huge gaps. So anyway, where I thought I'm just kind of like sort of positive, negative spaces, I just jammed another mould in it. You can never have too many. And this is what it looked like once I had applied them. The edging strip was again from the primitive mould as well, and I put that on to make it look like snow. And here I am painting it, and I just chose to paint it a sort of light brown. It kind of matched the same colour as my bowl. I didn't do two heavy coats. I didn't want to lose too much detail. I did one sort of rough coat, and if there was little parts that hadn't been painted, I wasn't too precious about them, because I go on to do quite a few different sort of, like I paint it and I did all the different things, so I wasn't worried about little parts that I missed. but I was using a small brush to make sure that I got in all the detail, but not too much paint that the detail was lost. So off I go, round and round we go again, just making sure that all these parts are painted in. And that's what I did at this stage. This is me moving on to my other side, and I'm just doing the same thing with the same colour. And that's kind of all I did at this stage, just made sure that I'd kind of got the majority of it painted and painted with the brown. I'm going on next, once we've done this, I let it actually dry overnight. I didn't go back to it. My moulds were soft, and I like when I'm doing any sort of dry brushing for my moulds to be hard, so I took it over to the house and let it dry. In fact, it actually dried for 2 nights. This is me starting to apply my colour on the base, and what I've got is a really sort of nice sort of light blue that I'm kind of very crudely putting in between my moulds. You can see all my little white parts that I've missed there. And what I'm doing is I'm kind of making it quite rustic by adding a different coloured blue in between that, just to kind of give it a sort of kind of a little bit of drama behind the gingerbread men, just to kind of make it look, I want this bowl to look really worn, really aged and very old. So the reason why I'm doing some of the things I'm doing is it's going to get a little bit sort of kind of grungy through time. And I'm not being too precious about it. This isn't a paint it and make it perfect. It was a paint it, and my first sort of coats were very sort of perfunctory coats, just making sure that it was painted, because I go on to dry brush it and do lots of details on top, so it was just enough to get me started. So I'm painting my little sweeties in, and I'm painting them a sort of pink colour, making sure that I've kind of make sure that I get the top of the stage, because when you're looking down on the bowl you're going to see that. I'm missing the in between the circle sweetie, that one there, because it's going to be white, and I'm just going to go along alternating that. So I'm kind of getting on with it now. I'm sort of filling in all the rest, and I'm just kind of putting a base coat underneath. When I go to do all the dry brushing over the top of this, it will suddenly all become quite apparent. So these are quite almost quite crudely I'm painting it in. I'm pointing out the little crack in Mr. Gingerbread man's neck, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be fixing that with paper clay as I go along. I'm just giving you a good look at what I've done and how much I've painted in, and it's coming on. I have kind of like, this is the point where it can look a little bit ugly, and we're just about to start pulling it all together and making it look cute. So on the flat surfaces, like the sweeties, I've got a paint pen here, and all I'm doing is putting some simple stripes on the sweeties, just to kind of give them a sort of a look of a sweetie. So 2 kind of stripes at the side, and then I'm going to come back with a red pen, which I at that point in time couldn't find, and with the red pen I'm just putting the stripe in between the 2 stripes, just to kind of finish that off. But I'm only doing detail on the flat surfaces right now, because all the raised surfaces I'm going to be coming back and I'm dry brushing them. I'm using the same red just to highlight the sweetie in between the 2 pink ones, and that's all I'm doing. And I bring that down into the centre, and I do a little circle just to finish it off. So what are we going to do next? I've got my dry brushing brush here, and I'm not dry brushing it with white, I'm actually dry brushing it with cream, because that's when it's going to again age it with that sort of different coloured dark blues underneath. I don't want anything too white or heavy on it, and I'm also dry brushing the bowl underneath, because the bowl itself had texture. So I'm not only bringing out my moulds and all the details in my moulds, I'm also bringing out the details on the bowl as well. And that should give it that sort of aged appearance as well in the end, that it's got that, you know, all the detail in the bowl has obviously been brought out. I'm being quite mindful. I'm making sure that I'm getting in between all of my moulds, but I'm also not overloading my brush. And that's the kind of thing about dry brushing. You kind of load some of your brush and then wipe it away, so that you have a clean rag beside you, so that your paintbrush isn't filled, because if you put too much paint on your brush when you're doing something like this, you'll lose all the definition in your moulds. So again, I'm just kind of going round in between the everything, all the moulds in the blue, bringing out the detail that was there too, over the wee dog's jumper and the stars, and right up to underneath the rim where the sweets are, because this is what's going to start pulling it all together now. It's good when you're dry brushing to be really mindful that you're kind of touching all of the areas, especially as this is the kind of the main part that's going to make everything else make sense. I even go over, even though I'm kind of using a cream, I still do it over Mrs. Gingerbread's dress, and I still haven't fixed the necks at this point, and over the face and over the body, just to kind of give it that sort of kind of baked appearance. And so really that's it with the dry brushing. I do come back and you're going to see me later on bringing out all the rest of the detail with lots of different paint pens, but I'm quite generous with my cream paint. That kind of dumbs it all down, it kind of sets it all back. And here I am again with my paint pens, and this is where I'm starting to put the detail in. I'm putting the detail on Mrs. Gingerbread's face and a little pink nose, and just rub some paint pen on my fingers to get the pink cheeks, and just smooth that out. You don't want them too heavy, and just kind of put them a bit more on the side. I put red lipstick on her, but I thought that looked a little bit gaudy. It was too much for her, so I came back over the white just to kind of make her lipstick less so. And remember your little highlights in your eyes, that'll make them look a little bit sort of cuter. I'm just kind of like, there's a little bit under there that I'm not obviously happy with. Filling in all the details like her jewellery and her buttons, and here I am with the paint pen just going round all the details of a star, putting little spots on my hearts, and just coming round now and just dealing with all the details. But you can really see at this stage what the dry brushing actually did. It just fixed it all. It just made it all look like one cohesive piece, where before it looked quite crudely painted, and at this stage it looks quite aged. And this is how it looks at this stage. Sorry that my banding wheel is so dirty, and that's how it all looks. Cute. And I've obviously fixed all their necks at this point as well, so nobody's got any issues there. So just going to squeeze some paint into the centre just to get rid of those cracks on the bowls, on the bowl, and I just mix them together in one in the bottom of the bowl. And all I'm doing here while it's on the banding wheel is bring my paint up so far so that it's not too much. It's tricky to paint a surface like this, but if you just bring it up and then turn the banding wheel at the same time, you'll see that it kind of makes it it's an easy process to paint the inside of the bowl like that. I just do this, and I actually, once I've done this one, I actually off camera go away and give it a second coat inside, because when it dried it was a little bit patchy and I thought it's just needing a second coat. So just finishing off those details. I do go back with a paint pen and I do a little bit of sort of kind of pattern at the top edge just to kind of finish my bowl off as well. And all I'm doing now, and I work in sections with my sealer because I want to put a little bit of white holographic glitter. I don't think it's as heavy as ordinary glitter. It's white, and it's also not too heavy, I don't think, for some projects. And I don't think you're over glittering it then, and it always reflects off really nicely off any of the surfaces that you apply it to. So that's all I'm doing. It's just a small section at a time, because each small section can be dried. And then I'm coming back, and here we are. I'm just sprinkling on the glitter, and all I did was work in a tiny section and then let it dry, and then move on to the next section and let it dry, making sure that I'm shaking off my excess. And so this is the bowl, and this is how it looks when it was finished. It's all done. It's got all the detail on it. I think it looks super cute. I'm glad that I used the colours that I did. It's not so overtly bright. It looks quite rustic. It looks kind of aged. Everything that I did, I kind of think finished it off quite nice. That's my sort of very wonky kind of pattern in the inside. And that's been it with the sugar and spice mould. It's a really nice mould. I can imagine you can do many different projects with it this Christmas. You can make fabulous Christmas decorations. You can decorate all sorts of things with it for a Christmas kitchen. So I've been Leo from Made by Marley, and I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that this has given you some inspiration on what you could do with the sugar and spice mould. And if you're interested in furniture, I have my own channel and I am a furniture artist, and if you're interested in furniture art, then hop over and see what I'm doing.